there's a very good chance Tyler Stephenson is okay. But a couple of things about this. Number one, long list of guys that we've heard across a lot of different teams, frankly, across a lot of different sports, where you've heard in spring training or in training camp or preseason practice, whatever it is. Hey, he's dealing with this. The athlete is dealing with this. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. And then it ends up being something that costs him a lot of time. I mean, I remember being patted on the head about Matt McClain late in spring training last year. And then Matt McClain played in as many baseball games for the Reds last year as I did. So there's always some kind of built-in skepticism or fear. So there's that. There's also the injury itself. It's a back for a catcher, the sport's most physically demanding position. And Tyler Stephenson has, over the last 2 years, I think, accomplished the goal of shedding the injury-prone label, which maybe to a degree he wore for a while, but he still has an injury history. He's a catcher, and back problem in mid-March is not something you want to read about. But also there's this. Tyler Stephenson's really, really good. It's funny. I was in for Lance on Friday night on 700 WLW, and I was talking about Hunter Green, my favorite Red. I'll go ahead and call it. And I said, I think there's a lot of folks who don't maybe either realize or remember how good Hunter Green was last year. He was awesome. His last 9 or 10 starts, he was unhittable. There are people who don't, know how really good he was and how much of a bargain he is. And I got a tweet from someone who said, I don't think people realize how good Tyler Stephenson was last year. Now, offensive numbers for a catcher are relative. It's why they ended the experiment of him playing first base. His offensive production for a catcher is good. His offensive production maybe for a right fielder or a first baseman is not necessarily what you want, but very quietly last year, Tyler Stephenson had a really, really nice bounce-back season. His OPS, he increased it by 86 points. He got on base more often. He slugged more frequently. He struck out a little bit less than the year before. Like, Tyler Stephenson had a really nice year. And as we're talking about, like, Reds who could be all-stars this season, well, you go Ellie, you go Hunter. You might take a flyer on Matt McClain. I'm putting money, if I could find the market, on Tyler Stephenson. Improved, I think, as a defensive catcher. Not great at throwing out base runners, but not that far below league average. Really good reputation for calling games. And, let's be honest, the Reds have some major offensive issues this year. Major offensive questions, I should say. Maybe not issues yet. They don't become issues till the season starts, but major offensive questions. Like, namely, all those dudes in the outfield. Tyler Stephenson, whether it be his productivity when he's catching or when he DHs, he's a guy that I feel like you can kind of pencil in what the numbers should look like this year. There aren't a ton of guys like that on this team. And so, again, no one is panicking. No one should be sounding any alarms. But this is something you should be paying attention to for that combination of reasons. It's the quality of the player, the nature of the position, the nature of the injury we're dealing with here, the importance of the position. Like, this is to me, and I know there have been other guys who have been slow to come back. Maybe their throwing program has been halted. The Spencer Steer shoulder thing has kind of been hovering over all of spring training. Jose Trevino was an all-star a couple of years ago for the Yankees and a Gold Glove winner, and actually was the Platinum Glove winner at his position in the American League, which is they only give out one of those per league per year. From an offensive perspective, I don't know that you want to see Jose Trevino back there behind the plate all that often. Certainly not as much as Tyler Stephenson. I don't know what plan C is at catcher. Like, this is the story of spring training right now. It's not Ellie De La Cruz batting third. Is their potential all-star catcher going to be okay?